how to make the bag charm from the Shapely shoulder bag set, available in these 3 beautiful prints. Marking the front and back. Take the bag charm outer front and fold the cut-out dart sections, right sides facing, and pin together. Now sew together using a smaller 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Pop it under your machine and very carefully, working from the top of the dart and down to the bottom, just use that smaller seam allowance as the dart is quite small in the bag charm. Once you've sewn one dart, sew the other dart in exactly the same way. Then repeat this to sew the darts in the bag charm outer front, the bag charm lining back and the bag charm lining front, so that you've got darts in all of them. Remember to use the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance throughout. Attaching the handles. Take one bag charm handle and fold it in half lengthways and press the raw edges to the centre so that they're wrong sides facing. Now fold it in half again so that all those raw edges are enclosed and the folded edges meet. This is just to make the narrow handle. Now top stitch down the length to hold all the folds together, and repeat this with the other bag charm handle in the same way. Now take the bag charm front and measure with your tape measure and mark with a pin 1/2 an inch in from each side. Now take one of the bag charm handles and measure just 1/4 of an inch from the top raw edge. Now place the outer edge of the bag charm handle where that 1/2 inch pin mark is, and make sure it's sticking out 1/4 of an inch above the top. That's why you mark the 1/4 of an inch mark, and just pin it into place all the way through. Now take the other end of the handle and again measure 1/4 of an inch from the top. You can do this by eye if you prefer, but if you want it to be exact, then pop a pin in at that 1/4 of an inch measurement. Now pin the outer edge of this end of the handle at that 1/2 inch mark on the bag charm front and pin it into place. Now sew together, tack them together across the top. Repeat this to pin the other handle to the outer back in exactly the same way. Tack them into place across the top and a little way down to make sure the handles stay straight. Assembling the bag charm. Take the bag charm front lining and the bag charm outer front and pin them together across the top raw edge. You'll notice that the ends of the handles are poking out above this. This means that it will have extra strength and won't get pulled out when you're using your bag charm later. Now sew together across this top edge. Repeat that with the bag charm back lining and the bag charm outer. Now open them out so they're both lying wrong sides down. Open out that top seam that you've just sewn and press it. Repeat that with the bag charm back outer and the bag charm back lining. Pressing this seam open at this stage will just give you a neater finish to your bag charm when it's finished, as this seam will lie on the top edge better. Now place the front out and front lining right sides facing with the back out and back lining, making sure that the outer pieces match up and the lining pieces match up. Start by pinning the seams together, making sure those top seams match on one side. Then turn it around and making sure the seams stay open, match the seams on the other side and pin together. Now you can continue pinning it together all the way around. Start with the outer side, making sure those darts match up. So pin them together at the dart positions and then pin the outers together at the other dart positions, again making sure they match up just so you get a neat finish. While you're pinning it together all the way around, make sure those raw edges stay matching up. Now you can pin the linings together. Again, match up the darts and pin them together. Now you need to leave a turning gap in the bottom of the lining for turning the bag charm open later. So just leave about a 1-inch gap centrally placed across the bottom edges. Put vertical pins in so you've remembered to leave it undone. Then stitch it together all the way around from one pin all the way around to the other. Once you've done that, carefully open up the turning gap. It's only small, but you'll be able to get it right sides out. And then push your finger inside and grab hold of the bottom edge of the outer and push that outside with your thumb, and then pull the outer and the lining all the way through that little turning gap. Just ease it out gradually, it will come through. And once it's eased out, your bag is now turned right sides out. Open everything out. It'll help if you just pop a finger inside and just push it against all of those seams, just to make sure they're all open and that the seams are lying right on the edges. Now fold the edges of the turning gap to the inside so they're turned under by 1/4 of an inch. Pop a pin in and sew together so the turning gap is closed. Once that's done, unpick the stitches. If you did some tacking stitches to hold the handles flat, I usually do tacking stitches to hold it across the top and then do a few more about 1/2 inch down. It just helps the bag's handles stay flat during assembly. So if you've done that, then unpick them at this stage. Taking out all of the loose threads, and I've did that on the side earlier. Then push the lining right inside the outer, making sure those bottom edges are all matching up, and then rearrange it so that the top seam lies right on the top edge all the way around. Now to attach your bag charm, you'll need a split ring that looks like this. Open it up and thread one handle through it and one handle through the other. Thread it all the way through. Your bag charm is now finished and ready to hang.